Welcome to another episode of AfternoonTeaV. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Doug.
Awesome sauce. So we're back. We're going to talk about some really good stuff today. We're going to talk about what everyone else has been talking about.
So we're a little late to the game.
Yeah, just a little bit. But I'm in the middle of moving, so whatever. You're lucky I'm even doing this today. Just kidding. Please
wow.
Don't. Yeah, I was like,
wow,
please don't stop listening. I'm sorry. That was rude. I take it back. No, so, like, Jeremy Johns is talking about it. Everyone in Hollywood's talking about it. Entertainment Tonight's talking about it.
I think it's been the most talked about franchise thus far since Marvel decided to start doing its string of movies for their Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yes.
But we're talking about one movie, while we're talking about a slew of movies from Marvel, so...
Exactly.
There's a lot to talk about. So we're basically taking a break from Game of Thrones.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about this because we're cool like that.
Absolutely.
And I'm actually really excited to talk about this because it's Superman, dude. I mean, seriously, I love this character, and everybody loves Batman.
My dad still thinks he's Batman.
Wow.
Yeah. My dad will see, like, club lights, you know, that shine up in the sky, and my dad's like, they're calling me. I was like, oh my God. Exactly. I was like, settle down, Adam West. Settle down.
Pow! Whap!
Kablam! Holy rusted metal, Batman.
Holy static cling, Batman.
Exactly. So, if you guys haven't guessed, we're talking about Batman vs. Superman.
Mm-hmm. Or as correctly stated and titled, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice.
Yeah, that's just too much.
Yeah. I'm sorry. It is.
So
what it is.
I'm cool with just saying BVS because that's just
so am I.
I'm not gonna sit there and go Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice every single time. Every single time. That's way too much.
BVS, or as I would like to say, SVB, but it's okay.
Or Dawn of Justice. I'm cool with calling it Dawn of Justice.
The new Batman movie, because everyone loves Batman more than Superman.
That Ben Affleck Batman film.
What?
Exactly. So, some pictures of Jesse Eisenberg have come out as Lex Luthor.
As the most recent big news.
Yes, and holy cannoli, Batman. Literally. How funny. That actually worked out this time. That actually worked out this time. But they're amazing. I'm excited. At first, when I thought, Jesse Eisenberg, really?
Why?
Yeah, I really just wasn't thinking about, but then I thought, you know, Lex Luthor is a bit of a nerd. He wouldn't be super buff and crazy and...
No, like, comic books have made him out to be that way as of now.
But he's more of like, he's a brilliant businessman. Mm-hmm. And he's a big nerd. So, like... Typically, when I think of, like, really nerdy kids, I think of, well, actually, kind of like my boyfriend, really tall and lanky.
Or you can say it, me too. Like, when you think of nerds, you think of, you know, relatively knowledgeable in whatever they're good at.
And, you know, like,
and passionate about it, too.
Yeah, and I really do. It's so funny because I really do think of Matt, like, kind of tall. Little on the skinny side.
Little guy.
He's tall. Little teal guy. He's pretty tall. He's pretty smart about stuff.
That was adorable.
But that's kind of what I think about when I think of Lex Luthor. I don't think of like a mixed martial arts fighter as Lex Luthor. That doesn't really fit.
And you've got many variations of Lex Luthor, especially in the comic book society, you got the movie society, all that stuff. Like, okay.
Smallville! Hey, Michael Rosenbaum was awesome. Shut your face!
Never.
He was awesome as Lex Luthor, and you cannot deny that.
I will never deny that.
He was amazing. In my opinion, he was the best character on the show.
Read my lips. Never will I ever disagree with that statement. But I have my quarrels with Smallville nonetheless.
Oh, well, hell yeah.
But we will get to that, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know.
Here's the thing, though.
Mm-hmm.
In the comic books, in fact, Superman was supposed to be a villain at one point. A bald-headed supervillain with telekinetic powers. But they realized the society did not want that right now. So they're like, let's give some truth and hope and justice in the American way. And they were like, okay, Superman.
I was like, well, didn't you already have Captain America?
True enough, but that was probably a different time frame because that didn't happen till after.
I thought Captain America was literally during World War II.
This is the Depression, probably nearby World War One.
So that's even earlier than I thought.
Yeah, now the character was born into World
in
War
1921.
II. If we're wrong about this, we'll definitely make sure our research is thorough and getting that right.
There's too many dates to remember.
Very true. But then eventually Superman did have to go up against a villain, and so they came up with Lex Luthor. Now, I don't know his physique so much then, but he was a calculating, very smart villain. As far as his physique goes, I think in the comic books he was a little lanky. He was like that little conniving guy in the background going, I can do better than that.
Pretty much.
And then eventually it all changed throughout the generations. It became much more bulkier and much more, shaved chin, like a chiseled chin. That's what I wanted to say. And he became an even bigger supervillain. And then, he was still a mortal man, so they gave him a suit so he can combat against Superman. Oh my god, my head hurts. So, yes, as it stands with Jesse Eisenberg, I was never opposed to the idea. I just had to wait and see.
Well, I guess the same thing is like when they decided that Heath Ledger was going to be the Joker, and it was like the kid from A Knight's Tale,
or 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah, 10 Things I Hate About You. Really?
Nah.
I was like, no, you don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. But then it ended up being one of the best decisions in cinematic history.
It truly was, if it not had its downside. But
yeah, but I mean, he was amazing.
He was absolutely
amazing. So it was like, what? That's so cool.
Yeah.
But when I heard Jesse Eisenberg, I was like, ew, I hated The Social Network. Why would they pick him? But then I was like, but wait a minute. He was really great in Zombieland. I was like, but shit, this isn't a comedy, so
or zombies.
Or zombies. So I was like, I'm
so conflicted.
Know.
His rap sheet just doesn't make sense. This is the whale's arms in the air. I don't know what to say.
Exactly. So I didn't know how to feel about it. But now that I see these photos, I'm like, okay, this makes a little bit more sense. And I never said, he was a bad actor. I think that he's a great actor. But I think one thing that I really appreciate that I think they're trying to do is I don't think that they're so much trying to get the comic book look as they're trying to find people who have the acting caliber that can make it work.
The acting caliber, in fact, I think is a much better word than I was thinking. Essence, like catching the essence of the character. Now, that's just like briefly getting the idea. Caliber feels like enveloping the whole mindset and body of what this character truly is.
Yeah, and I mean, I definitely think that when they picked Henry Cavill to be Superman, I don't think they could have picked a better one. And not only because he's attractive, he is. Superman should be attractive because he's the Man of Steel.
He is the man of tomorrow.
He should be attractive. I mean, he's not going to have a beer belly and be from the middle of Kentucky. Not that there's anything wrong with being from Kentucky. Don't get me wrong. I love Kentucky. I've spent some time in the holler. Okay. I was like, let me just put that disclaimer out there.
Every single thing you say now, Sarah. Watch it.
I know, so I was like, let me put out that disclaimer. I spent some time in the holler there, y'all. For real, though. I have.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
Yeah, I have spent some time in the holler. But when they picked Henry Cavill, I think they did a really great job. Not only because he is attractive, but because he's an amazing actor. He can act his way through anything.
I mean, The Tudors is a great example.
Was fantastic.
The Tudors was amazing. Season 3 is actually one of my favorites, where I think he's a lot more prominent in that. And
he is.
It was always, I get always so excited when I saw him, like, holy crap, he's now taking the show, all right, so what's he going to do? How's he going to do it? That's really awesome. And then when I heard that he was playing as Superman, my mind just went, fireworks. Yeah.
I know it
Thank
is.
you.
It is exciting because finally, for the first time, we really have a Superman who has the acting background to kind of give this character a 360 feel.
Mm-hmm. And even though people do have their quarrels with the Man of Steel, I really feel like what they did well with that character in the Man of Steel was the fact that I was finding myself relating to Clark Kent, Kal-El, Superman. I could.
Yeah.
How can you... You could say that about the original Superman movies, yes.
Sure.
But for this day and age, we really needed something because, unfortunately, Reeves is not here anymore. He couldn't act the part anymore.
Yeah.
Brandon Routh...
He's pretty, but he's not Superman.
No. And
that movie was just terrible.
It's not terrible to me, but I know what you're talking about.
It felt like it was a comic book
mm-hmm.
turned into a movie.
You didn't feel that with Man of Steel at all?
No, I felt like they were actually telling the true story of a person because for the first time, and I'm not just talking about, Dean Cain in Lois and Clark.
Which I own.
Yeah, and Christopher Reeve and Brandon Routh and stuff.
And even George Reeves, I mean...
And Tom Wellington from Smallville. For the first time, he actually felt like a real person. His family felt like it was actually real. Mm-hmm. Even though, like, John and Martha Kent were actually real people. This was their story. This was their son who literally fell out of the sky and landed in their lap. And he actually brought some real emotion. When he went through heartbreak, it was real. It wasn't just on the CW and him just crying because...
I'm going to win an Oscar for this.
Because Lana didn't say hi to me today. Like, really?
Don't.
Really?
Oh, man.
So, yeah, I mean, Smallville had its great sides, but then it was just, that's really not okay.
Daytime soapish, honestly.
It's the CW. Anyway, what they did well, they did very, very well. But what they didn't do well was pretty effing awful. So...
While people could actually say that about Smallville like you are, I think people could say the same thing about Man of Steel. To clear the record here, we understand the gripes about it, but as we're here right now, we loved Man of Steel.
I loved Man of Steel. It really brought humanity
to a
character
that I believe everyone hates for no reason. There's a lot of...
I think the reason why a lot of people hate Superman is just because he's so freaking perfect.
Yet we are always looking for that perfection.
I know, and once we find it, we hate it. It's one of those things.
It's a catch-22.
Exactly. So I actually loved Henry Cavill as Superman, and my biggest complaint, which I've already told you about, was Amy Adams as Lois Lane.
Yeah.
Not my favorite.
Not your favorite. It wasn't my favorite, but I wouldn't say in the sense of like, oh, they could have casted that better. You probably could say that.
I would, just because I felt like most of the time she was just sitting there with her big, wide eyes going,
"Aren't I cute?"
What? Well, when you're finished measuring dicks, we can talk about it. Like, who? What?
Wow, that almost sounded like I just did a clip from the movie because he sounded just like her.
Exactly, and I'm like, don't flutter your big blue eyes at me. Like,
don't do that. Don't do that.
You know what? You may butter many parsnips, but it doesn't butter mine. Okay.
Okay, I gotcha.
She wasn't my favorite. I think that they could have cast that much better. Mm-hmm. And I don't necessarily mean that they needed someone prettier. I just think that Lois Lane, being in the world that she's in, journalism, which again is primarily a male-dominated territory.
And for her to be there, she has to be a relatively strong character.
Yes, and I think that she needed more attitude and less, oh, look at me, big blue eyes.
Right, so don't give me the looks, give me the attitude.
What's with the S on your chest? Yeah, well, here it's just an S. Yeah, that's not enough attitude. I want you to be like, dude, What the F? I see you here. It's freezing, and you've got no shirt on. Something's going on, and you're going to tell me what it is, or we're going to have a problem. Because I have photographic evidence. Now, what do you want? Ding, ding, ding!
That, ladies and gentlemen, is what a Lois Lane should be.
That's what it should be. She needed more sass and pizzazz, and I just felt like it fell flat.
Right. And, most could argue that maybe the story did not provide enough of that. And sure, maybe, but that's kind of an argument for another time.
And maybe in this movie I'll actually get to see more of her story, and maybe I might feel differently.
Maybe. Though, this new movie is absolutely jam-packed with not only Lex Luthor, but Batman,
Superman,
Wonder Woman,
yes,
Aquaman. I was about to say Aquawoman.
Yes, Aquaman does make an appearance.
Right, and then of course we have to juggle the idea that Alfred's going to be in it.
Yes.
We have to juggle the idea there's a story that's going to incorporate all of these characters. Lois Lane, Lawrence Fishburne's Perry.
They're starting to talk about bringing the Suicide Squad in there.
Right, but that is actually going to get a movie into itself, which is pretty exciting.
But they're going to have to introduce it. They can't just put it out there. So they're going to have to introduce that. I don't know how they're going to do it. But I mean, like, they're what is it? Jared Leto is going to be the Joker.
Mm-hmm. Will Smith's going to be...
oh, God. I know who you're talking about. Crapola. I can't think. But I know exactly who you're talking about. But Margot Robbie is going to be Harley Quinn. Oh, God. Now I need to IMDb it because I'm just not sure.
Right. And this is like really big news because, one, from where I'm coming from, it's a big deal for me because this is the first time I've ever tackled the universe of DC in the sense of
Well, they kind of had
scope.
to because Marvel did, and Marvel's made an ish ton of money from it.
Ish ton of money?
Well, I'm trying to clean up my language.
It's not like we have complaints about that.
Well, no, but I don't want us to all of a sudden get a jump in people listening to us and go, "Ooh, that girl's got a bad mouth. I don't want to listen to her anymore."
Very true. I really
an ish ton of money.
A big ton of money, and especially with the success of Avengers as well, which I think a lot of people are really kind of... Deadshot, thank you. People are jabbing at Batman v Superman for the sake of it being like an Avengers movie, but like the Avengers light, or let me rephrase this better, a Justice League movie light, because they're going to have all these characters in it having little brief appearances, and it's like, oh, well, it's like Iron Man 2. Oh, well, just, Avengers light. Well, now we've got a Justice League light. And I'm like, okay, maybe, but look at the time frame that they have to establish their world. They can't carbon copy the same exact way.
Right.
Marvel's done it. So they're going to have to kind of jam-pack a few things. I just hope they do it right. I really do.
I think this is almost their last shot to get it right. Because if they don't get it right now...
They probably won't.
Don't ever do it again. Because... There's been too many reboots, because taking it back to the Marvel Universe, you had the horrible Hulk movie with Eric Bana. And it's not necessarily that Eric Bana was bad, just... He
was pretty good.
He was. The whole movie was just bad.
It was a deep look into family and grief and... We didn't want to see that.
And even The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton was just kind of like,
I love that movie, but not in the sense of like, it doesn't make my top 10.
It was good, but it was like, it could have been Liv Tyler?
Really? Just gonna stay over there, aren't you?
Yeah, we're just gonna have to. Yeah. Stick to Lord of the Rings. Anyway.
I was gonna say the same thing. Yeah.
Stick to Lord of the Rings.
Even then. Oh God. Here we go.
So, that's just how that goes.
I usually am a guy that has no problem with who they choose. I listen to other people and their gripes, and I'm like, okay, I can see it, but it didn't bother me. Like, The Incredible Hulk, it is what it is. But you were making a point. What was that?
I was just trying to say that, like, in terms of Superman and Batman movies, they've done so many revamp after revamp after revamp.
We didn't really handle The Amazing Spider-Man well either. You know, while there are some people who liked it...
We'll touch on that in a minute, because
sure.
Because there's some good points we can make about that one, too. But, you know, you had the really bad Incredible Hulk movie just because it wasn't done very well. It's not that they didn't have a good cast, it just wasn't done very well.
Right, okay.
And then you had one that was a bit more put together, and they were trying to start to create this universe here.
But nobody knew that at this point.
But no one knew that yet. No one knew that until the very end when Tony Stark comes in.
What
and you're like...
What a great surprise!
And you're like, wait, what? But you still didn't know what that was all about. But you knew that something great was coming. And even then... They did a much better job with The Incredible Hulk, but I still don't think that they picked necessarily the best people to do it. Because
sense.
I love Edward Norton, and I do think he's a great actor. But he's no superhero.
And there, ladies and gentlemen, we have it.
He's no superhero. He definitely should stick to what he does best, which is not superhero movies.
Right.
And Liv Tyler should stick to what she's best at doing, which is being Steven Tyler's daughter.
I can't really get behind you on that because I'm not very familiar with her work, honestly. So, I mean, I'm just gonna...
She's done some okay things, but other than being in a couple music videos and, like, she was in Jersey Girls, which is okay, but she doesn't have... Again, I think if she wasn't Steven Tyler's daughter, she wouldn't have had anything, to be honest.
She didn't give the emotion that you were looking for in this said movie.
And that's just my personal feeling. Now, trying to tie that back into Batman and Superman.
Right.
You know, you have the Adam West Batman, which is very campy TV. It's very TV show. And that's fine. That's what they needed at that time.
It's what we look back on and it's like, wow, that was
so weird.
So weird.
And then you have Tim Burton, who I think created amazing works of art. Because it wasn't just a superhero movie, it was just art.
It was a very artful movie.
Yes, and it was very well done in terms of cinematography, in terms of lighting. It was done very, very well.
Atmospheric.
Yes.
Very atmospheric. In fact, that's one of the things I think you could really say had it going from Batman.
I think it had one of the best Gotham cities ever. Because it just felt like a deep, dark, dirty place that you didn't want to be. Because it just wasn't safe. And until Batman came along to save the day. Right.
And until you actually had this Caped Crusader who's just as dark as the city was, yet he's the one that's trying to shed light.
Exactly. And Michael Keaton will always be my favorite Batman. I love Michael Keaton. I think he's one of the most underrated actors of all time.
I've always enjoyed whenever he's on screen, whatever he's doing, I'm just like, you keep going, Michael Keaton. You do that.
I love Michael Keaton. So, I loved his Batman, and I loved his portrayal of Batman. And then you have Christian Bale as... No, I'm alive.
You did skip a few, but I thought maybe you were trying to make a point.
I was, but then you had the super campy and overdone Val Kilmer and George Clooney. Which, Val Kilmer was... Yeah, we won't go there. George Clooney was like, I'm pretty and I have money.
Hi, Freeze. I'm Batman.
Yeah, and it's like...
Sorry. Let's run down the tail of a dinosaur, which came out of nowhere, but whatever.
It just didn't... Yeah, I didn't like it.
The portrayal of it all, it started getting a little off-center.
Yeah, because it was like, Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. I was like, that's awkward.
Wow.
Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy, and I was like, that hair...
can go.
Yeah. And then, and it just, I don't know, it just didn't feel like it fit. But that's my personal opinion. Then you have Christian Bale as Batman, and I think Christopher Nolan did try to bring a lot of realism to it, and I just don't... I didn't think that it fit. The Dark Knight was fantastic, but Batman Begins and The Dark Knight Rises, for me, were just completely... I don't like them.
Where I stand with this, I'm just going to comment on what the movies are, but I know you have a bigger point to make.
Yes.
Batman Begins will and always forever will be my favorite of the franchise. Dark Knight is incredible. It is just high ranking, but Dark Knight Rises I have problems with. I think Nolan was going for a deeper, darker Batman that was a lot more relatable in the sense of really bringing the essence of what we knew about him in the first place. He was a detective, emotionally damaged, a billionaire, playboy, philanthropist, all that kind of good stuff. Yes, I know I quoted Avengers, but it's still just as effective. But the thing is, it was almost a little too realistic because Nolan shunned the supernatural. He only gave us a little bit of the villains that were kind of dabbled in the movies in the sense of, oh, that could have been that character that we all knew, but it wasn't. You know, Joker was just an insane guy who painted his face. Two-Face was a burnt man. Bane was just a big... what's a good word? He was just a big man that was a terrorist that was shunned out of the League of Shadows. I mean, they were the epitome of what the real world would classify them as. We just classified them as the comic book character counterparts. So, anyway, that's where I stand with that. But
in terms of, like, revamping, you have, like, the Adam West, which is super campy, and then you have the Tim Burton, which is very dark and almost overly dark.
Right.
And then you have the Val Kilmer and the George Clooney, which are just kind of like...
back to campy again.
Back to campy, overdone, horribly...
blahs.
Yeah, it just big blobs of obnoxious color over this, over that. And then you have overly realistic...
psychologically deep.
Yeah, like, we just need something that has substance, good acting, and a good cast. That's it. It doesn't need to be overdone. It doesn't need to have too much color. It doesn't need to be campy. It doesn't need to be over serious. We just need a good, solid movie. That's it. And you can't keep revamping and expect, like, well, what's canon now? We don't have anything.
Right.
We don't have anything that's canon. And now we even have Gotham, the TV show, and it's like... where are we going with this? Like, how many times are we going to need to do Batman before it's just...
not fun anymore.
Yeah, before we're just done with Batman, we don't want to do it anymore. And not even to get into the cartoons. I mean, good lord.
Yes, I know, and that's one thing that we didn't tackle on, but it's very much implied.
There's just too much of it.
Right, and we're at the point now where we want something solid, where we can recommend to others and the next generation over, like, these are a good set of movies. Flaws and all, they were still great portrayals of characters that we have known for decades.
Oh, sure.
Decades.
Sure.
So I am wholeheartedly with you on that because while the franchises have been wavering and however you feel about them, it's kind of tying into what they chose Henry Cavill for. He got the caliber of the character. And we haven't said it yet, but Ben Affleck as Batman, I'm only hoping that he has the caliber as well.
I am too, because like I told you before we got started with our podcast today, Ben Affleck can be a hit or miss.
He can be.
He can be a hit or miss.
We're not saying he's going to be
right. I'm just saying, he's had some really great movies and some not so great movies. Like Hollywoodland. Horrible.
Never saw it.
Horrible.
But that was his big comeback.
Yes. In fact, I think he played George Reeve.
Yes.
Yes,
he did. Yes, he did.
Whoops!
Isn't that funny? It's like all this conversation is really
ironic?
going... ironic, full circle.
So, yeah, I mean, that was a pretty horrible movie. But then, he's had things like Good Will Hunting. It was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Amazingly amazing.
I love that movie.
So good.
But he wasn't the prominent figure in that, but he did write it.
He did. But that kind of creativity was spot on.
Mm-hmm.
Like Gone Girl. He was amazing.
Never saw Gone Girl.
So good. He was amazing in Gone Girl.
Mm.
Just...
So excuse me. I'm sorry. I have seen Gone Girl. What am I talking about?
Yeah, I was like, I thought you had.
Okay. Anyway.
He was amazing in
I'm
Gone
thinking
Girl.
of Gone Baby Gone because he directed that. I was thinking of that.
He directed it, and that was his brother, Casey.
Duh. Sorry.
The Town.
Love that movie.
He was amazing in The Town. You know, but there's just been certain things where he just really wasn't that great in it. Like Chasing Amy.
Never
the Kevin Smith movie.
I can definitely say I have not seen that.
I didn't think he was as good in that one. I think the movie is great. It's classic. My kids are going to see that movie. But I don't think he was the shining figure in it like he should have been.
Okay.
But that's just my personal opinion. So I think that he can be a little bit of a hit or miss, and I'm really hoping that he's a hit because I really want him to do well.
I do,
really
and
do.
we are still under the shadow of his last performance as a superhero.
Daredevil, yeah. But I don't think that was necessarily his fault. I think that was just a crappy movie.
There's that sense of what was really the fault of that movie. Was it the story or was it him as an actor? Now, depending on who you are, it's spun however you want it.
But I think... as someone who's been on the stage, as someone who has acted before, when you don't have great material to work with, you can only do so much.
This is true.
Now, watching Daredevil, the whole story kind of comes together, and you're not really sure, and maybe it was just me, for 90% of the movie, I was like, what is going on? Because it was like, okay, well, where is the villain? When's the villain going to come in here? And then it was like, oh, it's this random kingpin. Since when? What?
And then we have Bullseye, or whatever his name is.
Yeah, which is...
I never miss.
Wasn't that Colin Farrell?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And it was like, so wait, so where did he come in? Where did this kingpin come in? And then Jennifer Garner's father worked for him? Was his rival?
It's been forever since I've seen that film.
And that's what's sad. If it's a great movie, I will remember every aspect of it.
Right. The story did not click.
I remember that there was an Evanescence song in it. That's it. Oh, wait, no. Jennifer Garner was in it, too. I think, yes? Yes?
She was in it, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because I remember they ended up having, like, this faux fight scene. And faux is...
a half-ass know-nothing.
Right, but no, this was like them testing each other's wits for some reason. But when I say faux, it's probably even the wrongest term to use. It was a fake fight scene for each other to just kind of... That was their flirtation, and they ended up going onto a play set just trying to figure out each other's name.
Yeah,
like,
and it was ridiculous.
What's your name?
Exactly. And she's like, can you hand me the honey? And he's like, no. And she's like, why? Can't you see it? And it's like, actually, by the way, no, I can't. And I was like, that is so bad. And because you've just made her look like a douche.
And I don't want to watch that.
Exactly. Not only that, that's just a poorly written joke.
It's a poorly written joke, indeed.
It's a poorly written movie. But anyway. So, again, hit or miss. Ben Affleck is a hit or miss.
But this is a big, bold move.
This is a very big, bold move. And they've made a whole bunch of big, bold moves because Margot Robbie is being Harley Quinn, which she's pretty enough. There's no doubt Margot Robbie... Happen! But there's no doubt that Margot Robbie is pretty enough to play this role. But does she have the acting ability to do it?
And that's not to insult.
I hope that's not to insult.
That's not to insult.
That's not to insult at all. She was great in The Wolf of Wall Street. However, she didn't need to be that good. She needed to be naked and pissed off. Those are two things that come very easily to women.
I'm gonna just let you go.
As a woman, I can say that when, like, nudity with someone we love, that's something that's pretty much easy. Yeah. Like, whatever, no big deal. I'm comfortable, like, being nude around you. But being pissed off, women are just consistently pissed off about people around us all the time because we know we're right. You should know we're right. Why aren't you just admitting that we're right?
Why would you think society would even have, like, maybe these tags for luggage saying Mr. Right and Mrs. Always Right?
Exactly.
Think about it.
Exactly. And now I feel really bad, and I need to have a disclaimer about the nudity thing. This is Hollywood, where if you're pretty, you're automatically nude. That's just...
There's been a big thing about Jennifer Lawrence and her nude leaks and other people and their nude leaks, and it's
should it be that way? Should it be a big deal? Well, probably.
If you say that it shouldn't be, and people are saying this is my body, then you're starting to spin it in ways that need to be addressed.
Listen, be comfortable with who you are. Like, dude, if I have to put on pants sometime, I'm like, dude, I'm not coming because I just don't want to wear pants. Sorry.
Right.
But, different people think completely different ways, and that's fine. But in Hollywood, if you're pretty, typically... We
all want to see what you got.
You're gonna be naked at some point. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. I wish it were a little bit more equal, because there are some dudes I would not mind seeing naked. But beyond that,
I take offense to that. Not really.
Yeah, I was like,
I'm fine.
beyond that point, that's just kind of how it is in Hollywood, and I feel like a lot of women, when you're with someone that you really, really love, nudity is not really an issue, because let me tell you, when you get home, that bra comes off. Anyone who does not say that is a liar. Mm-hmm. Okay, so nudity is not a problem when you love someone and you live with someone. So, there.
Hammer on the gavel.
I don't know why I needed that disclaimer, but I really felt like I needed it. So yeah, I just don't know if she has the acting ability to do it, because I've never seen her have the acting ability to do it. It's not to take offense. I've just never seen her acting ability. So I would really like to see it, and I hope she does a good job.
I don't think but there's never always a question when... Okay, I say Jared Leto's going to be the Joker. What do you think? Though everyone could say that he would seem to be a perfect fit, because he would literally throw himself into roles and make the best out of what they are. And I can only take that for its credit because I haven't really seen him perform. I know he's a band member of 30 Seconds to Mars.
Yeah, he was in Alexander with Colin Farrell.
And I couldn't finish that movie.
It was pretty bad. But I don't think he did a bad job.
No. But the point is that...
And I think he's pretty good in the things that he's done. I think that if given the opportunity, he will do a good job.
Once in a while, yes, I will agree with that. Once in a while, when it comes to a guy doing a role of a said character, only two questions come to mind, and one rarely than the other. The other one is, what's his rap sheet? What has he done previously? Would this fit for him now? The other, physicality. But that one really doesn't come up until maybe someone sparks the question and wonder, is he going to bulk up or is he going to lose weight?
I think he's fine for the Joker, because he's a little on the slim side. He's not a big guy. He's not a super little guy either. But I think for the Joker, it doesn't really matter.
No, because there's been so many different.
Yeah, he doesn't. Well, it would be weird if he was bulky, because when you think of a Joker, you think of like the jester, the court jester, who was always running around, jumping, doing acrobatics and stuff.
Exactly.
So you would kind of expect someone to be a little bit more athletic, but maybe not Tom Hardy sized, because he's a shorter fellow. He's shorter. He's about my height.
Oh wow! Wow! I did not know that.
I think so. He's about like between 5'5" and 5'7", I think.
I was thinking that you were about to look it up.
Yeah, I am going to look it up.
Here's my point, though. When it comes to females, the hammer gets a little harder in trying to break the ice on this, but the question comes, a woman's being cast for a female character. Is she pretty enough? Is she, like, we don't overlook anything else, but the biggest factor is, are they pretty enough? Are they going to act it well enough? And it's like, well, why can't we make that the more prominent one? Like, are they going to act the shit, excuse my French, out of this role? Are they going to do well? Because women are people too.
Mm-hmm.
They are as just emotional as guys can be, if not more.
It says he's 5'9", but there's no way he's 5'9". There is no way. Hold on.
Someone's lying.
I think it's his manager. Because he was not that much taller than. He was about the same height as Chris Pine, maybe even shorter. Oh my God, he's only 10 years older than me? What? Gee, he's even older than my boyfriend. Wow. Okay, so Chris Pine, it says he's 6 foot.
That's as tall as my mom.
That's shorter than my boyfriend. People are lying. That's some Bashini right there. I don't listen to that. That's some Bashini. But anyways, moving on, we have Jared Leto as the Joker, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. We have Gal Gadot as
or Gal Gadot. I'm not even sure, but
I don't remember how to pronounce her name.
Not to forget about the point that I was making earlier.
It doesn't matter. She's beautiful and she's Wonder Woman.
Right. So, but that's actually kind of going into what I was saying. Now, I could care less if the girl is beautiful, but can she act the shit out of the role?
I don't think necessarily Wonder Woman has to necessarily have so much acting ability, because she was raised by the Amazonian thing, and their big thing was not feelings and emotions and stuff. It was the warrior heart and the warrior spirit. We know she can kick booty. We've seen it.
Yeah, and I think one of the best things about Wonder Woman is that lasso of truth, because I've never been really familiar with Wonder Woman until maybe last couple of years. But that lasso of truth is so awesome to me, because she's the one woman that would want you to tell the truth, and you have no choice but to tell the truth. Mm-hmm. And I like that. I like that a lot, because, well, I'll face it, men are liars. We can be big time.
People are liars.
And people even more so. And so the thing is that I like it where she is the one woman who has to go up against a whole entire race that is less than her, and it's like, okay, tell me what's going on.
Tell me the truth.
Tell me the truth. And there's no way around it. And I find that awesome.
I love her outfit. I love that it's not red, blue, and gold. I love that it actually looks like what a warrior would wear. It's very, brown, very copper, leathery. It actually
and
looks
it's not like it's unattractive
and
either.
it's not Xena Warrior Princess.
that was definitely on my mind, but I was like...
Yeah, it was not Xena Warrior Princess either. It's pretty cool. But she looks very badass.
Yeah. So, as far as I'm considering, there's a lot of good cast...
Yes.
Selections, because not just good as in, oh, okay, I think they'll fit the part. I think it causes controversy. It gets people talking.
Jason Momoa as Aquaman.
Oh, here we go.
No, I would. No. I would never have thought of him as Aquaman. He wouldn't be my first choice, and not because he's a bad actor or a bad guy. He just, I wouldn't have said Khal Drogo. Yes, perfect. Aquaman, not so much. I'm sorry. When I think Aquaman, I think of, Puffy.
Puffy?
Yeah,
Care to explain that?
Puffy, beautiful blue hair. And,
pretty boy.
Beautiful blue eyes and, beautiful blonde hair and tan skin and perfect teeth. I think of, Tony Curtis, if Tony Curtis was a blonde. That's what I would think when I think Aquaman. I think of him as, a bit poofy. I don't think of him as, and don't take that in a negative connotation. I've already had to do 2 disclaimers. one of which made no sense.
You keep setting yourself up, sweetheart.
One of which made no sense. My nudity disclaimer made no sense.
It's okay. Well, you have to justify when you make quick points like that.
Yeah. What I mean is that when I think Aquaman, I don't really think of him as being buff. I think of him as being a little bit more flouncy. Like, he just calls water and the water does the work for him.
He does control fish to a degree.
Yeah, and he doesn't have to do his work on his own. Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. Like, I don't see big, buff, strong Jason Momoa as Aquaman. Do I think he'll do a bad job? No. I think he'll be great.
I'm
excited to see, like, a manly Aquaman instead of, like, I call water. Whoosh. Tink.
This is just that awkward pausing.
And then it's like, go home, Aquaman, you're drunk. Go home, Aquaman.
You wouldn't want to say that to Jason Momoa, that's for sure.
No.
The way his physique is he is downright intimidating.
Dude, he's just a big bulk of a man.
He's big. He's a big dude.
He's a very big dude.
And I've never seen him much in anything other than I know that he was Conan the Barbarian, which I have not heard anything good.
I think I saw like 2 seconds of it before I had to go to an appointment. And I don't remember anything about it.
You just knew that you saw it.
Yeah, I just remember like it saying Conan the Barbarian, and then it started the credits, and I was like, I don't have time.
I've got things to do.
Well, no, I literally had to be somewhere, and I was like, I really want to watch this, but I cannot click. I think that the DC universe has this last opportunity, and if they don't get it right now...
Going back to that, yes. Absolutely.
Because, I mean, they did the Green Lantern, and I was like, why?
Nobody liked Green Lantern.
Because it was bad.
It was bad. I had fun with it, but by no means would I wanted that to be the starter of the DC universe.
Well, why wasn't he black?
Who?
Hal Jordan.
Well, I think the black incarnation, or should I say the...
Because I think it would have been great if they'd picked someone like Michael B. Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would have been amazing as Green Lantern. I mean, he's Falcon now, but...
Well, yes, and I think that's who you were talking about.
Yeah, but I think he would have made a great Green Lantern.
I do not disagree on any level with that.
However... he would have been a great Green Lantern. Plus... I mean,
Hal Jordan was first in terms of mythology. However, you know how these universes and companies work. They go in line. So when they tell the story, Hal Jordan has to be first. But I would not be opposed to the idea of the... I don't know the name of the black Green Lantern incarnation, but I would not be opposed to that if they did that first.
Yeah, like, I think that would have been great because, I mean, I'm white, obviously.
We're the whitest people you'll know.
Pretty much. But I think that, you know, if there is an opportunity to take the African American incarnation of a character and put someone in there who's really great, who would do it justice, then by all means, please do it. Mm-hmm. Find an unknown. I mean, that's what they did with Precious, which was a great movie.
I never saw it, but I'm following.
It was a great movie. And I mean, you can literally do just a casting call, and I'm sure they would have found someone. I think Michael B. Jordan would have been great for it, but that's my personal opinion. But there's so many great actors, even from across the pond, who would have been great for this. And out of all the people in the world, they pick Ryan Reynolds, mm-hmm. and then they put him opposite Blake Lively. Now, they're both very pretty. But listen, when I think of, like, Green Lantern, I think of, like, some sass. You need, like, that sassy attitude.
Christopher Eccleston sass, are we talking about, or...
A little bit, kind of not, but...
I'm making a point of reference, that's
yes,
why. I'm
kind of.
higher than him.
Yeah, a little, yeah. But I think you also need someone who's, I feel like the part of Green Lantern was very soulful. I haven't found another culture that has really just more heart and soul than the African American culture.
Okay.
That group. And I feel like
if there's passion, it would be within them.
Exactly. And I feel like with the Green Lantern, he's representing an entire planet of people. You want someone who has a lot of heart and has a lot of soul, and I think that would have been a really great opportunity to find, a member of the African American community who could, stand up and kind of represent Earth, and as them being a culture who's very soulful, very full of heart. And I think it would have been a great opportunity, but they blew it.
Yes, and we can almost say that for not that reason, but for many others, they blew that entire thing already.
Well, yeah, but I think they missed that even bigger opportunity.
Yes, and at least as far as we are considering, there is a chance for a African American actor playing one of the upcoming roles in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Black Panther. So that's kind of exciting, especially for me, because it's like I've never known anything about Black Panther. So this should be cool to see this guy at the helm of a story that I have been completely
aware
of.
Well, there's certain superheroes that just really click with people, and then there's ones that really don't. But I'm very interested to see what they're going to do with the whole thing.
Well, the comic book industry is translated into film is always such a hit or miss. I mean, we've had our trials and errors throughout the years, but now, as you said, if there's any opportunity to get it right, it has to be now.
It has to be now.
Marvel has gotten it right. They're doing it, and they are doing quite well at it.
Yes.
I don't think there's a single bad movie in that franchise, though how you receive it is totally different. I know you hate the Iron Man franchise.
I do. I don't hate Iron Man. I just hate the Iron Man movies.
Right.
That's my
but
personal opinion.
The thing is, though, with DC, they're trying to catch up. They're trying to keep it where they're their own flavor, but at least still being just as efficient.
Sure.
So, with all that said, I believe that while the casting decisions are maybe controversial at best, worthy of debate about, we won't see, or we shouldn't decide anything until we see it. Because it's the story that will matter by the end. Because the story is what incorporates all of these and how it's told.
Absolutely.
So, I'm excited for BVS. I'm losing my words here. But yes, the BVS is definitely the most talked about, especially in casting choices and whatnot. But in the end, we can only see. So, final thoughts?
I'm excited. Sorry for all my disclaimers.
I'd say when it comes to a topic, we have to waver off and give disclaimers because we can't say one thing without justifying where we're coming from.
Right. And, everything that we say is kind of up for interpretation. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands, anything that is said is never to be taken offensively. It's not meant as an offense. It's literally just word vomit. It came out of my mouth and it's like, oh crap, maybe I should explain that.
Sometimes it's just an opinion that needs to be...
Sometimes it's just an opinion.
Yep. So, thank you guys so much for listening in.
Alright, sounds good. See you later, guys.
Have a great one.